Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome back again to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. 31 Days of the Dead. Day 16. Today I have a couple of old friends with me as guests, and they have a podcast themselves that they've started. With me is Matt and Travis from Welcome to the End of the World, or as they're known in my old gaming group, Matty Patty and God Damn It Travis. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Hey there, Tom. Love it.
I have gone by Matty Patty for
So-
a number of years.
Today we're talking about, and I apologize, a kind of piece of shit called Zombie Apocalypse, also known as 2012 Zombie Apocalypse. So there's another movie that's just called Zombie Apocalypse that's a much lower budget movie. I started watching by accident, but it might actually be better. So if you guys want to come back and do like a bonus Patreon episode or something at some point and talk about that one, I'm open to it.
That
So
sounds
one
like
we're
fun.
talking about now. So I chose this because because it's zombies and we're doing zombies this month, but you guys are doing a podcast about apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic movies. So I thought it'd be a good crossover because it's right there in the title. Mind you, a lot of these zombie movies are a zombie apocalypse rather than merely an outbreak. But
Yeah, I think it's like a subgenre of apocalypse.
yeah, definitely. This one is by the Sci-Fi Channel and the Goddamn Asylum. And folks, if you've been listening to this show, you know how I feel about the Goddamn Asylum.
Hey, I got something to say about Asylum. I've managed to avoid every Asylum movie until now.
Until
broke the seal.
I'm so sorry. I apologize.
I've seen some of their movies. I've seen some that are bad. Yeah. Some are not so bad.
I've never seen any that are actually good. The Sharknado ones are kind of bad on purpose, but
Yeah.
are meant to be silly and goofy. This movie is just
bad on
aggressively
purpose.
mediocre.
Oh,
I feel like the entire business model of the Asylum is basically like identify whatever's popular in current media, make
Yeah.
a version of that, spending as little money as possible.
Yes, they call
Definitely.
them mockbusters. They
Yeah.
call them mockbusters,
Um,
and they purposely. Well, they have two things because they also make the
Christmas
Sharknado and the they make the Sharknado and the Mega Shark versus Octopod, whatever the fuck the thing was, and
Yep.
they make some monster movies that are just their own thing, but then they also make these ones that are purposely designed to confuse you into renting the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I think this
Like-
might be one of those. I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah, like
2012
the- Oh, yeah, because this was right after that 2012 movie came out, right?
it came out in 2011, but I think slapping the 2012 at the front of Zombie Apocalypse
Mm-hmm.
was just an attempt to cash
Legally
in on
distinct.
the whole. Yeah, because according to Wikipedia here, it is called both Zombie Apocalypse or 2012 Zombie Apocalypse. And I think the original script probably just says Zombie Apocalypse, and they threw the 2012 on there because there was that whole Mayan calendar 2012 shit
Mhm.
going on.
And both
so
names
there
are
were
bad.
there were a bunch of movies about that. So, they tend to try and put theirs out just either right before or right as the other movies coming out. So they're War of the Worlds, they're
Yeah.
I Am Omega.
Which I own.
They
And
Transmorphers.
I own the War of the Worlds. I own that one too.
The day the world stopped.
May own that one.
The day the earth stopped. Is it a world stopped or earth? It's the day the earth stood still. They were trying to confuse you with that one. So it was like the day the earth stopped.
It's whichever one isn't the day the earth stood still and is not the name of an Eurythmics song. They went with that one.
Okay.
They try their best to avoid getting sued.
They also do like Christian movies that are also mockbusters.
Well, so they do. They make a lot of Christmas movies, which is like almost like a can't miss business strategy. So like when they're not making shitty mockbusters, they're propping up their phony business model with cringy Christian Christmas movies.
But they've also done Sunday School Musical, which is both a Christian movie and a ripoff mockbuster. So fuck these guys. But as I was saying, this movie is aggressively mediocre. It's not bad enough to be entertaining, and it's got people in it who have done good things, but they're not quite good in this movie because there's only so much you can do when you don't have a script and you get no direction and you don't have an editor. They're probably just doing one take, and there's slapdash editing, no fight choreography. Jesus Christ. Let's do our stats real quick here. God. This is so-called written by Craig Engler and Brooks Peck, neither of whom have a Wikipedia page of their own, so that should tell you something. Directed by Nick Lyon, who does have a link to a Wikipedia page where you can see he's directed a bunch of other shit.
He makes his money off of the asylum.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes. There's no budget listed. Obviously, no box office because straight to TV. The cast is Ving Rhames, which is another part of the reason I picked this movie because this is like his third zombie movie, and the first two were real movies. So I didn't realize it was an asylum movie when I picked it. I just saw Ving Rhames is in this other zombie movie. Maybe that one's good too. Because he was in the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, and I think the only reason he's in this is because he was in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. Well, this whole cast is people who had like balloon payments on their house or something, and just
they had some credit card payment coming up, which I can relate. You got to pay some bills.
Look, Michael Caine was once in a movie called The Swarm, I believe, because he had just bought a house. And he was very open about that. And then several years later, he had like a balloon payment, I think, on that same house, and did Jaws 3.
In reference to our podcast.
Very honest about why he did those movies.
Yeah, directly related to an episode we just recorded. Shameless plug. When we talked about Armageddon, same thing. Steve Buscemi, very open with the fact that he worked with Michael Bay because he wanted a bigger house.
Yeah. I mean, it's a job.
That's it. It
is a job.
It's a job. It's a job.
And now, anyway, Ving Rhames plays Henry Everlin. Taran Manning? The fuck kind of name is Taran? As Ramona. Apparently she's been in stuff that I've never seen, but it's stuff I've heard of.
Oh, yeah. She's in Orange is the New Black.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have not watched it.
That's the only thing I've seen her in.
People seem to like it.
Oh. It's okay until the last season kind of sucks, but the rest of it's okay.
I've only seen 2 seasons of it, so.
Johnny Packar as poor man's Luke Perry. Gary Weeks as Mac. Leslie Ann Brandt as Cassie. Leslie Ann Brandt with her foam sword. Eddie Steeples as Billy. That's Crab Man and Rubber Band Man.
I can only see him as Crab Man.
Yeah, Robert Blanche as Brockton, Bowden as Myra, Anna Monzikova as Sarah. Her big credit is one of the suitcase girls on Deal or No Deal.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Gerald Webb as Kevin Anderson. I think Kevin's the one that bites it first. He does not have his own Wikipedia link. And then a horde of zombies who all appear to have done their own makeup before arriving on set at home.
It wasn't part of the contract. You had to bring your own makeup.
Yeah.
Don't have that in the budget.
Exactly, because it's all just kind of I swear I think they all just did their own makeup, and because there's no consistent look to the zombies.
No, there is not.
No, there's not. Yeah.
Now I will say there was a makeup department that kind of one of the makeup artists, like special effects artists, she actually went on to work on the Fallout show.
Okay,
so she
you got to get your
start
start somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe she did. Maybe she passed out the clown white and the fake blood. I don't know. She didn't spend any time working on Tyron Manning because she looks like shit throughout the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic zombie movie, so you shouldn't look too glamorous. But
it did just happen in the story, though.
Leslie Ann Brandt brought her own makeup person along, so because she looks, her hair looks good, her face looks good.
Right out of like a commercial or something.
Right. She's looking very fresh throughout the movie, and has a magic sword.
Oh, that sword!
Magic foam sword, so very clearly foam sword. It was driving me nuts.
That thing could do things I've never seen a sword do.
That scene
Magical.
where she just sort of lightly draws it across that zombie's throat and his whole head comes off.
Yes,
that's
exactly what I was thinking
guys,
of.
You're not even trying. Yeah, they're not even trying. Clearly a foam vorpal sword. You just have to hit and it decapitates.
Maybe in like we didn't see an edited scene where the sword was created by Sonny Chiba and given to her, and it has magical properties. That's the part they didn't tell you. Got to read between the lines.
But there's many of these scenes. It seems like they're just improvising. They don't have a script.
Yeah. Which I don't know if they really need one.
Well, I know, but just any scene where a zombie's attacking, it's just kind of what? Oh no, have you been bit? What's happening? Oh, hey, help over here! And there just seems to be no coordination to what's happening. And the scene where the guy's turning in the van, and it's like some of the people don't notice until, some of the people are like, oh, he's turning. What are we going to do? And other people are like, after he starts to turn, are like, what's happening? What's going on? I'm like, you're right there next to everybody. How do you not know that he's been bitten? You could not. There's no way you couldn't have heard him when he said, "I've been bitten" to the other person that you were leaning on. You're so close. You're all in the van together. Oh, it's just bad.
Oh yeah. Or when Crabman goes down, they're just like, we got separated. Like, wait.
Yeah, they're so bad at saving. Yeah, their fighting techniques are so bad. They're not coordinated at all. He gets swarmed, and they're all just kind of standing, watching him get swarmed instead of either running or trying to help. They just stand around and watch for a while. Yeah, they could have either said it's too late for him, let's go, or they could have said let's go help him. But no, they just kind of watch and move because there's no fight choreography. They don't know what to do.
No,
and they don't want to hurt anybody by just jumping into the fight with no choreography.
Yeah, right. I
was going to say, I feel like because so much of this movie is based on adding in CGI, really poor CGI, after the fact. Yeah. That I imagine that filming this movie was something like them standing, like going back to that scene you mentioned of in the car. They're in the car. The director says, okay, you're going to turn left and action. And they do one take. Half the cast looks, half the cast doesn't. He says, all right, print, move on to the next thing. Yeah. It's just something like that. Just, we don't have time to waste here. We're shooting this in like 5 days. I don't want to pay for catering.
Did you say print? Are you under the impression that actual film was used to make this?
Film.
That is true. They probably did not.
I mean, it was 2011. Maybe it was on film, but I'm guessing digital cameras.
No, there's no way.
Not with this budget. No, this was. There's times where this looks like it was filmed on a cell phone. From 2011. It looks
one of those old phones.
I don't know where I mean, there was a point when a digital camera cost more than a film camera, but I'm not sure exactly when that point was. So I don't know exactly.
I used to
when
shoot on digital camera. Yeah, I filmed things that look on a similar quality to this, which I think is one of the reasons why, like at the beginning, I said like I don't necessarily hate this movie. I don't think it's good, but I don't necessarily hate it.
Okay, yeah, no.
Well, okay, so let me tell you, the only moment I felt anything for any of these characters is when Henry and Cassie, Ving Rhames and Leslie Ann Brandt, have their little clarifying talk. Their little, we have to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, folks, I'm not going to go through the whole plot of this movie, but there's been a zombie apocalypse. Supposedly, there's safety on the island of Catalina. One little group of 3 people has just now left their cabin after 6 months and runs into Ving Rhames' little group of people who say, we're going to Catalina. And then partway through, they run into, some of them die, and then they run into a third group of people that they hook up with. But Leslie Ann, her husband is in the military, and as far as she knows, he's on Catalina. But she's been traveling around with these other people for maybe a couple of weeks now, at least. And she and Ving Rhames have gotten close, but she hasn't hidden the fact she has a husband from anybody. So
she talks about
when they're nearly,
yes.
But there's this scene where she's kind of like leaning on his chest and he's playing with her hair, which was a good setup for the scene that's coming. And she just has a little talk about, hey, look, when we get to the island, my husband's going to be there. And he's like, yeah. She's like, well, I just know we've been getting close. And, she just wants to make it clear, we have to just be friends, but I want us to still be friends. But my husband is there. So they haven't been fooling around, but they've been getting close. And then he's like, when you see him, is it going to make you happy? And she says, yes. And he says, then I'm happy. And he like kisses her on the forehead. And, the 2 of them were doing the best they could with what they had and were doing their best to create a real moment there in the middle of this shitty film.
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciated that. And I even wondered about, how much of that setup was just those 2 actors. I don't know if they were directed to do that. It might have just been the 2 actors being friendly,
that makes more sense.
Or knowing that scene was coming, and because they are actually professionals. So
yeah, Ving Rhames is the best actor in this movie.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. I mean, I've always enjoyed Eddie Steeples. I don't know what his range is. That's Crabman.
Oh, right.
But he's and I don't really know these other people. When I looked them up, I'm like, oh, they've been in a lot of stuff. They were probably good in those things. One of these girls, Lillian Bowden, was in Andy Mack. She played, I assume, Andy's younger sister, Rebecca Bexmack, in Andy Mack. That was a Disney show.
Oh, Alex Mack.
Yeah. No, Andy Mack. It says Andy.
It says Andy Mack?
Andy Mack. Yeah.
Is there that the Secret World of Alex Mack?
There is an Alex Mack.
I'm not familiar with either. I have nothing to offer.
Well, it was for a time the top-rated series on cable television among children 6 to 14.
Well, hot damn, college boy.
According to Wikipedia. No, I think there's a separate thing called Alex Mack, and I don't know if
they had.
My point is,
familiar with Alex
was a thing. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it was 2017 to 2019.
Oh, man.
So she's presumably the sister of.
Oh, that threw me off.
Oh no, she's older. Okay, now this sounds interesting. We're getting way off on a tangent here, but that's because this movie's so shitty. On the night of her 13th birthday, Andy Mack's world is turned upside down when she discovers that the woman she believed to be her sister, Bex, is actually her mother. I won't read any more of the. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that happens. That's the thing that happens. I'm surprised it happened on a Disney show, but There you go.
Yeah, really.
There you go. Yeah. Now I got to go watch that show.
I was about to say it's on my list now.
And anyway, these people, they've been in things. They were maybe better in those things. So there you go. It's Jesus Christ. There's just so many things that, like, they get that gun and put it in the shopping cart, and then zombies show up and they abandon the gun, and then they find this giant gun that is too big to just carry around, like a 50 caliber kind of thing.
Yeah,
with a
you'll need that with
an automatic weapon, and
Chekhov's 50 cal.
Also with a feeding, what is that thing, like the magazine that just doesn't move at all? Oh, the belt. Thank you. I don't know guns.
Yeah, it's got a belt.
I don't know. I have to CGI that.
With the CGI bullets coming off the side of it.
They're pushing it along in a shopping cart, which I loved. But then the zombies show up, and they just rather than spinning the cart around and shooting them, they abandon the cart and run away from it.
Yeah.
They do get it back later and do eventually mow down a line of zombies with it. But I was just like, why? Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah. My favorite part of this way. Yeah, in relation to that, my favorite part of this movie was when they meet the like archer dudes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the archer guys are explaining how, like, why they use bows and which is, they do explain why they use bows and arrows, but they're also in the explanation explain, like, hey, after you shoot one, go grab the arrow. We need it.
Yeah.
And then, like, 30 seconds later, they get attacked by zombies, and they just needlessly shoot arrows at zombies as they're running away from them, leaving behind all the ones that they already used, which goes against what they just said.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a running theme in this movie, going against what they just said.
Yeah.
So I thought basically the archers were totally... Go ahead.
No. Yeah, the archers were totally
they were totally wasted. They were wasted.
Oh,
But we did get some cool anime hair.
Yeah. As they've been making their journey, they've been coming across these zombies that have been killed by arrows. And so they know there's this band of archers. They're like, archers. There's this band of archers moving ahead of them. And they're presented as if they might be sort of ominous, and we're not sure who they are, and they seem a little wary of them. And then when they finally run into them, they're just a high school archery team with their coach.
Yep. Just their teacher showing them how to survive.
Perfectly nice people who act like they know more about surviving than these other people do, but there's only like three of you, I think. So you,
3. They started out with what, 20? Is that what they said in their story?
Maybe.
I'm not sure. On the archers side.
Yeah, the archers. I think they said that they started with 20, and then they said because the guy, what would be the archery teacher, was said like, but they didn't listen to us, or they didn't do it the way we did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'll show.
I didn't like him as a character.
Kids.
He was kind of a dick.
Oh, no.
He was kind of a dick.
No, he was awful.
Most of the characters in this movie are kind of dicks.
Yeah. I personally found Lillian Bowden, though, as Myra, to be the most attractive of the young ladies in this movie. That's neither here nor there, but I was just like, oh,
you'd
pretty girl showed
You'd
up.
have to remind me who that is.
The archer. One of the two archers. The one we were just talking about that was in...
the anime hair?
Andy Mack. Yes, she had the anime hair.
Okay, that's all I called her.
There was the blonde.
I didn't write down their characters' names.
There was blonde archer who was on Deal or No Deal, and
okay, that's who that was. Okay,
anime hair one, and then the.
This is going to sound wrong, but coach. I find blondes forgettable.
He's talking about the one who humors the Shakespeare poetry reading
douchebag kid. Guy.
Oh. Yeah, okay, so
which is basically the movie tries
dumb.
to take everything that's extremely dumb. Which is half the reason why the movie exists, because if not, then I think like the movie would have ended within the first couple of minutes, because they're all very stupid.
But you're saying it takes everything.
Oh no! What I was going to say is basically this movie, like it takes every like major plot point or key beat from like every George Romero movie every zombie movie before this, and lots of Walking Dead, and just took whatever was popular with those and just replants it here. Michonne has a sword. She has a sword.
Yeah.
We got Daryl with the arrows. We need arrows. Zombies are going to attack like a big populated area. Let's do that. It's just, Ving Rhames, pull him over.
Yeah. I mean, they were attempting to create some characters with this guy who's always quoting various poets and stuff and taking down names.
Yeah.
But they just didn't do a good enough job of it.
I feel like they took like all the characterization they had and were like, let's just put it all into him. Like him writing down the names in the notebook, that would be fine enough. Like, okay, that's cool. Like you're like taking notes and he explains like why I take these, why he kind of tries to explain why he feels like, oh, I'm taking these notes of whoever died, whoever finds my body is going to, do whatever. But then the quoting of the poetry thing is just really pretentious and it makes me hate it.
Yeah, it's very annoying. But this dumbass sees he dies because he sees a porta potty and he's like, potty time. Like,
yes, which is stupid as hell.
Have you not? And this is the lack of coordination. If you've been doing this long, because we just watched Zombieland, and these guys have no rules. They have no rules like they do in Zombieland. The proper procedure is like, okay, I'll stand back and aim at the toilet door, and then you open it, and if there's anything in there, I'll shoot it. No, he just open, and somebody says, "Wait, don't!" and he just like it's his first day, like it's his very first day in Zombieland. Like nobody's told him there's zombies, and he just opens the bathroom door, porta potty door, and immediately gets chomped on because he's a fucking idiot.
Like they could have fixed his death if they would have actually had like a script, because like the whole time they have him quoting poetry and shit, whatever. So like they could have done like a thing where it's like, okay, the world has ended and he's trying to collect books, right? He's got like the whole, Twilight Zone thing. He's going to try to read all these books he's been wanting to read. He's, maybe at the end of it, when he dies, he sees this, oh my God, it's, I don't know, fucking Herman Melville copy of Moby Dick in a bookstore or whatever. He runs after, then he gets attacked by zombies. That would make more sense other than him being this like literate character that's just like, oh, I get to take a shit now. He just dies for no reason at all.
Yeah,
that's it.
They should have established a standard operating procedure for these situations by this point. And they have not.
Well, they even say the phrase "standard procedure" at the beginning of the movie when they're checking for bites and stuff. When they first
they check for bites, So,
which is dumb because he's just totally forgotten.
They have,
he needs a shit.
They
so
forget
bad
everything they say. They'll in one moment be like, in one scene they'll be like, "All right, everyone, let's be quiet. Make sure no one hears you. We don't want to disturb any of the zombies." And then as soon as the fight starts, they're just like smashing shit and making as much noise as possible.
Yeah.
It's just the stupidest thing you could do.
This movie did remind me of a saying, and I'm not sure where it came from or if we made it up ourselves, but in regards to zombie apocalypses, that blades don't need reloading and clubs don't need sharpening.
Ooh.
And we do see some of that being utilized in this film, in that they're not all relying on guns all the time. She's got her foam sword. Ving Rhames has his presumably foam hammer,
the sledgehammer. The very, like, his name is Henry. He has a sledgehammer. John Henry. You get it?
Oh, God there you damn go. It.
Oh, did you just catch that?
Yeah.
Yes.
God damn it, Travis.
See? It's my name Travis. For a reason.
I just
they should have given him the fucking katana as a reference to fucking Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction.
There you go.
Are we allowed to curse on here? I should have asked beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Judas Priest. It's
see, I'm making a better movie out of this bad movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's easy. It's very easy too.
All you have to do is care at all.
Yeah. I'm assuming that his hammer was also had a foam rubber head on it, but it just, did a better job of appearing real.
Yeah. Well, there's this one part, I really hope it's rubber, because I have this in my head, that there's this part where there's just a zombie walking towards you, and then all of a sudden Ving Rhames hits him with the hammer out of nowhere, and I'm like, I wonder if Ving Rhames just did that. And that wasn't planned.
Well, see,
that was a little business on Ving Rhames' part.
Yeah.
Normally in a movie, you have like a real sword for close-up stuff. And then you have a foam or a wooden or whatever plastic, stunt sword for far away shots. But she just clearly just has a foam sword that she carries around with her the whole time. There's one just a yard away from me that I got at Spirit Halloween. I believe it's meant to be a Michonne sword that is, just as real looking as hers was, and a real sword right next to it. So.
So you're already doing double what they did.
Yes. Well, they don't match, but
but even that would.
I'll send you a picture of a real sword. It's very strange. Yes, I do have that sword in case there's a zombie apocalypse. One real sword amongst all my various foam ones.
I just hope I die.
And my father has a replica of that Sonny Chiba sword that you were referring to earlier.
Oh, it's a Hattori
Hanzo. It's a Hattori Hanzo. He's very proud of his Hattori Hanzo sword. It was a Christmas present from my mother one year.
Nice.
Now we're doing the biggest Send Me and Travis do in our podcast is talk about better movies in the middle of a bad movie.
Absolutely.
Which is what we're doing now.
Well, now it is one of my rules to not reference a better movie in your bad movie.
That is important.
Which they did.
Don't talk. Don't.
That is literally all they do.
Yeah. They even reference Walking Dead.
No, I mean directly. Okay. Sometimes they'll bring up. Somebody will talk about.
Oh yeah.
Somebody will mention Casablanca or something like that, and I'm I'm like, no, don't remind me that I'd rather be watching Casablanca right now.
Yeah,
don't do that.
I don't know if this movie directly references any zombie movies, which but it definitely alludes to pretty much every single one of them.
Yeah, and they're also
pretty much ever.
I think there's a lot of references to like Left 4 Dead, the video game, like with that air horn. That's straight out of the game.
When did that come out?
Oh, really?
That had to have come out before this.
Probably.
I bet the internet knows.
Left 4 Dead. I'm looking it up right now as we talk.
Because
2008. Yep.
Yeah, that came out before, and the way that they use weapons and then just stop using them, straight out of a video game too.
Yeah,
like the gun, the chainsaw, like.
Oh,
the chainsaw was stupid as part of the whole movie. And that's saying something considering
why was
how
it
it
in
ends.
Yes, like somebody's like, well, we got to have a chainsaw moment in this movie, but only one, and he'll immediately abandon it.
Immediately.
It's laying in a car seat, I think.
Yeah, and they also another reference to those video games is they have like evolution zombies that are like more powerful, more harder to fight, like a boss zombie. And speaking of that, they have a real opportunity to do something very interesting with this movie, where they have zombie animals that just falls so flat.
Yeah.
We did zombie animals.
We see one.
I was going to say, if you want to get into
dog.
that climax at the end.
Is that what you're going to call that? A climax?
Was there a climax?
Why not?
Was there a climax?
Was that what that was?
Was there a climax?
Did y'all not climax?
It just kind of petered out. It kind of petered out.
I was going to say, the movie just kind of stops.
Well, I meant like that last fight, the big boss fight at the end.
Oh, the big. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. The giant
I guess
CGI
we can call it a climax.
But the guy
there's very clearly that they're fighting nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, there were a lot of reaction shots in this movie. You could tell they were not anywhere near. It was just them by themselves, and they're like, just react to the camera or react to, looking off to the side. And that really is highlighted in that fight against the.
Yeah, I can't like.
What I'm not even sure what you're talking. You're talking about the guy. There was one guy that was bigger than Ving Rhames. Is that who you're talking about?
There was that one guy. He was the
and then the CGI cat at the end.
That CGI tiger.
Oh,
at the end.
Right. I forgot about him.
How on earth?
How could you forget?
That's right.
How could
that
you
kills.
forget?
It kills Ving Rhames. It kills Ving Rhames. Yeah, I know. It's.
I'll never forget that as long as I live.
I tried.
I'm gonna get it tattooed on my head.
I did. I successfully forgot it, and then you reminded me. No, the end I was thinking of was just how. So they're trying to get to. They've heard there's a ferry from Catalina every couple of days, so they get to the dock, and they're just kind of like, "Well, we made it to the dock. Hopefully, the ferry will be here soon." And then there's an overhead shot
we'll
of
be
the
back
ferry.
Wednesday, and then they're like, "We don't know what day it is."
Stay tuned for the sequel.
But the very ending is an overhead shot of the ferry approaching the dock, and I'm like, "That's it." Like, okay, we made it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
we're on base. You can't attack us anymore, zombies. We made it to base.
Okay. So the ferry, as you said, this says they'll come back. What is it, every Wednesday?
Yeah.
And you mentioned, how could they know it's Wednesday? Which is a point that I don't think this movie is prepared to answer the question of, because they also mention
they do say out loud. They say, "What day is it?"
Exactly. Well, I mean, but that's the thing is so an EMP has gone off. They said, which I don't understand how that would affect the zombies. But anyway,
right. It was supposed to keep people from spreading.
It was dumb.
It was dumb, like driving away and infecting other places,
which didn't work. Turns out,
it did not work.
But
it was just the dumb. Go ahead.
If it's been months, you would have a really hard time understanding what day it is. Because I mean, the first couple of weeks you could probably keep track. Okay, the sun's come up this many days, but then after a while, you would probably either lose interest or forget, or something might occur, and then you would probably lose time and be like, I don't know if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
So putting up a sign that says "Be back on Wednesday" is pretty useless to you.
If you don't have a schedule, if you don't have somewhere you've got to be, if you don't have a schedule, if you don't have, for example, the church ringing a bell telling you what time it is and what day it is. I'm just thinking of earlier times when people didn't have calendars and stuff, but you had the church keeping track of time for you. The bell would ring and we'd all know it was noon or whatever. You're gonna lose track possibly if you're not really staying on. If you're don't have a little notebook that you're making little hash marks in or something, or carrying a little calendar with you and marking each day off when you get up or something. You're gonna lose track. But the EMP made no sense though, because it was supposed to stop the spread, but no, all you did was stop communication, which is going to make it harder to maintain control.
I'm about to show that I'm thinking harder than the writers and the director.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have affected the ferry? I'm just saying.
I was just thinking that. Is the ferry have no electronic parts in it? It seems
in the immortal words of Michael Bay,
for any
shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Is that how he explains any inconsistencies in his films?
Whenever we were talking about Armageddon, we went over the part that apparently during the filming of Armageddon, Ben Affleck would frequently bring up the plot holes of Armageddon, and Michael Bay's reaction to Ben Affleck was, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah. Oh, this is very much that kind of movie.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's no excuse for that. There's especially when you're spending millions of dollars on a movie, just take a moment to fix the plot holes. I've said this before about another film, that the script is the most important part. It's the cheapest part, but the most important part. And because you just got to write words on paper. You don't have to. That's not where the budget's going. But maybe more of it should. Maybe you should pay a little bit more to hire somebody who can actually write. And then show it to a 12-year-old before you start filming, and say,
"This movie
any part of this that doesn't make sense to you." And if the 12-year-old says, "Yeah, how did the ferry work if there's no electricity?"
There's a better movie hiding in this movie. If there would have been a writer that would for just another pass. So with the groups, her group is killed off, and then she finds their group. You could have put some tension in there to be this new group. That with Kevin and her and the dude from that one fucking show. I forget his name. Crab Boy, is that what we're talking about?
Oh, Crabman?
Crabman do. Yeah, those three. they get taken in by this new group with Ving Rhames, but most of them die off like pretty immediately. You could have had it be like a tension thing, kind of like in Walking Dead, or Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead, or Night. I can just keep going on, and have it be like, oh,
Twilight
can we trust each other? Like, who can trust who here? And then the next group is the same thing, and building up tension. Or you could take it in the George Romero thing where like you're going to make some kind of political statement with these zombies.
Oh yeah, there was
and the zombies are going to come to be a metaphor for something. But this movie reminded me a lot of Resident Evil type movies where it's like the zombies don't mean anything, so they don't really pose much of a threat. They're just more of an inconvenience for the characters. So the movie kind of becomes like a really bad, not to offend Walking Dead fans, a really bad soap opera that just kind of has zombies as the background, which is kind of what this is.
If that's the case, then you have to actually care about the characters as one does in a soap opera.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, as one hopefully does in a soap opera, in a good soap opera, you have to care about those characters, and you have to find they have to be interesting. Well, so I've said this in a couple episodes already, that Roger Ebert a long time ago was comparing vampire movies to zombie movies, and he was saying that in the vampire movie, the vampire has to be interesting, and in zombie movies, zombies themselves are not interesting. So your humans have to be interesting. Your protagonist has got to be interesting.
Oh, that's really
because the zombies are just mindless things. But occasionally you do get somebody that tries to make the zombies interesting as well. But yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing interesting about these zombies, and they don't represent anything. We recently recorded Land of the Dead,
almost nothing.
Zombies very much meant something.
And I'll say there's nothing interesting about the characters either.
No, there's not.
They failed on both.
We like.
Oh no, the characters are just tropes of characters that have been in other zombie movies that were more successful.
Yeah, we like Ving Rhames because we like Ving Rhames, not because there's anything interesting about.
He was great in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The only good Zack Snyder movie.
He's only. It's one of the few. Jesus Christ, I don't know. I like Watchmen and I like Sucker Punch, but I hate Man of Steel and all of his DC work with a red hot passion. I guess you could call Watchmen a DC movie, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I don't even really like Watchmen all that much.
It's 95% good. He fucked up the ending.
Yes. Oh yeah.
The ending is the only part that I liked. The ending is the only part I liked that he changed.
No, I wanted to see that. I was looking forward to seeing that big tentacle monster.
Big tentacle squid.
Also, I don't know if I want to get on that tangent.
No,
that's a long one.
Well, I think part of the comedian's, to me anyway, my interpretation is part of the comedian's turn is seeing that monster, seeing it being developed, and it's so it strikes him as so unnatural and wrong that even this very bad person who's done very bad things says, "Oh, that's fucked up," and it kind of drives him mad. And it also makes him. He has this turn where he's like, "No, this is not. What they're doing is not okay. Their plan is too evil even for me. It's not okay." And part of it is not just the millions of people they're going to kill, but the fact that they've created this unnatural abomination. And that's not in the movie because they changed that.
Yeah, but there's a new Dr. Manhattan was the unnatural abomination.
Yeah. You get a lot of blue swinging dick, though.
Well, that's accurate to the comic book. So
there's
a new animated version coming out that presumably is 100% accurate. Multi-part. First part's already out. First part is already out. I haven't watched it yet. But that's neither here nor there. Fuck Zack Snyder. Death to the Snyderverse. None of this. No, you're not getting any restore the Snyderverse from me. All right, boys. This is the part where we rate the movie. We're using a 1 to 5 brains scale. Out of 5 brains, how many brains do you give 2012 Zombie Apocalypse?
Ooh, I think if it wasn't for Ving Rhames, it'd be a lot lower, but I'm going to go ahead and give it 2. I'm going generous. I'm going to go 2 out of 5 brains for Ving Rhames only.
2 out of 5 for Ving Rhames only. At the beginning of this, I said I didn't, I don't hate this movie. I thought it was, I wrote down, for an Asylum movie, surprisingly better than it has any right to be, but very derivative with a absolutely stupid ending that we barely talked about with the CGI cat. You have to see it to believe it. If you want to, just like watch this movie on Tubi, skip forward for like the first hour and then just like watch the last like 20 minutes where the cat shows up, and then the movie basically just stops. Like, you never find out if Catalina is a safe spot, anything. We don't reunite with the husband. It just stops.
Right.
For that, I chunked off a bit, but going into the ending, I was going to give it like 3 out of 5. And then the ending kind of took some points off. So like 2.5, something like that. Like if I want to do like a half measure, it's okay.
Okay.
It is okay. It's kind of okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm giving it a 2. I did not like it. I won't go so far as to say I hated it, but I did not like it. So it gets a 2. I regret watching it.
I don't regret watching it. I've seen far worse movies than this.
Oh, I've definitely seen worse. That's why it's a 2. Let me tell you, there was this whole thing with, this professional podcast and the movie Troll 2. You guys ever seen Troll 2? People talk about it being the worst movie ever.
Love Troll 2. It's not.
And there's a whole documentary. There's a whole documentary called The Best Worst Movie Ever. Anybody who thinks that Troll 2 is the worst movie ever has not seen Manos, The Hands of Fate.
The Hands of Fate. That
one's bad.
That breaks the worst sin a movie can, because it's incredibly boring.
Yes,
it is very boring. I've seen a worse movie. The worst movie I've ever seen is a movie called Sleepy Hollow High. That is the worst movie I've ever seen, which is also commits the sin of being an hour and 20 minutes long, but seeming like it's 3 hours long.
Oh, God.
Nothing happens. But it is.
Now
you
got
me
curious, because
movie.
I do not believe I have ever seen a movie worse than Manos, The Hands of Fate.
I own Sleepy Hollow High. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I will look it up and tell you if it is.
When I try to look up, here we go. When I first try to look up Sleepy Hollow High, it's telling me about the high school in Sleepy Hollow.
Yes, it is not the high school. It is the movie from, I think it came out in 1999, 2000. But it looks like it was filmed in like 1993 with like 35-year-olds pretending to be 17-year-olds.
I cannot even find it.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even find a listing for it.
The world doesn't want you to see it. The world does not want you to see it.
It's trying to tell me about the movie Sleepy Hollow, which is not a great
Honestly,
movie.
If you watch the trailer on YouTube, you pretty much get the gist of it. That pretty much tells you everything you need to see in about 2 minutes.
I'll go look that up later.
It does have a decent soundtrack, I will say.
Well, there you go. Manos, The Hands of Fate does not have a decent soundtrack. It has Judas Priest. All right, that's going to do it for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and rate and review and all of that stuff. I'm going to put a link to these boys' show, which is only on YouTube. Is that correct?
It is elsewhere as well, but the episodes are not uploaded as fast as they are on YouTube. So YouTube, you get them every Friday. Everywhere else, it's about a week behind.
Okay. I'll put the links to all the stuff in the thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, folks. Till next time, I have been Precious D. My guests have been Matt and goddammit, Travis. Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements. Please don't misuse science. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
See you.
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.